So in the last episode of the Card Academy, I talked about the short card. Now the short card is one that has, again, endless applications. And this is just going to be how to use the force card as a peek. So you're going to use the force card to facilitate a peek of the spectator selected card. Now in the last lesson, we talked about using the force card as a key card on the bottom of the deck. For this one, you're actually going to need the key card on top of the deck. You're going to exploit the properties of the short card to actually ascertain the spectator selected card. So it's a very, very powerful technique here, and I really haven't seen this done much else. I really haven't seen this technique used much else. And I'm going to show you an application of this as a force, so as a psychological force, also as a peek on your end. So first things first, you're going to have the force card on top. You're going to have the spectator pick any card they want. Now, all you're going to do in this case is the spectator picks a card. You're going to cut the card much in the same as before. So you're going to make sure that this card gets cut right above the short card here. So that's going to be the first thing that you're going to do. Now, I suggest not doing this with a one-handed cut. However, I don't have a table around me, so this is what I'm restricted to here. So the peek is very, very simple. All you're going to do is dribble the cards. When you dribble the cards, you're going to notice that at some point, the cards are actually going to stop. So as you dribble the cards are just going to naturally stop, in this case on the 5 of spades. Remember, the Queen of Hearts is over here, and the card directly above it is the spectator's card, which is the 5 of spades. Now, you're not going to stop dribbling. One of the problems that I've seen with this is people tend to stop dribbling after I've taught this to people. You don't want to stop dribbling at that number or that particular card. You want to keep dribbling. So the peek is going to take place as you dribble through, and you're going to notice that there's a pause on one particular card. So as you're dribbling through the cards, you're going to notice that there is one card that has a pause, and you're going to be able to feel it. So you're going to be able to feel the actual spot where the peaked or the short card is, and you're going to be able to look at that card and ascertain what card the spectator is thinking of, the card they picked in this case. So it's a very, very interesting concept. And again, all you're doing is dribbling. So you're putting the spectator's card, in this case, all you're doing, you're putting the spectator's card on top of your key card, cutting into the middle of the deck. And all you have to do is just dribble. By dribbling, it's going to be a self-working thing where you're going to be able just to peek at the card that the spectator picked. In this case, it's going to be the Joker. So just because it stops for a fraction of a second. Now, again, big tip here, you don't want to stop dribbling. You don't want to stop here because then that becomes a different effect. Then it becomes, oh, I cut to your card. Now, if you want to do that, again, that's your prerogative, but that's not what we're going for here. We're going for a peek. So you want to keep dribbling past that card and past the break. So that is the first way of getting a peek from a short card. Now, as you can imagine, the exact same technique could be used to force a card on the spectator. So we're going to do the classic David Blaine, this little bit of a force, but we're going to do it from a dribble. So the way this works is you're just going to hold the cards in your hand, you're going to dribble, and you're going to have the spectator think of a card that they could see inside the deck. Don't go for this one because that's going to be a little bit obvious, but just think of a card that you could see in the middle of the deck. You got one? Now, of course, in this case, it's going to be a Joker. You don't want to make sure that it's a Joker. You want to make sure that it's a card that stands out. In this case, King of Spades would be a better card. But you're going to do the exact same action as before. All you're going to do is you're going to dribble the cards. You're going to keep dribbling. And what's going to happen is that it's just going to pause on the King of Spades. It's going to pause on the King of Spades, and that card is going to stay in the spectator's vision a little bit longer than the other cards, and typically that's the one that they're going to go for. Again, this isn't completely fail-safe, but I would say this is 95% effective if you do it right. So all you're going to do is you're going to dribble the cards and have the spectator think of any card they could see in the deck. Of course, in this case, they're going to see the King of Spades. So it's a great force to do when you're not having a participant. So for example, if they're on Skype, that's a great force to do. If they're on YouTube, if they're on Instagram, it's the same exact thing as this force that you've seen Jesse Eisenberg do. And Now You See Me very terribly. But this is a nice way of doing it with a dribble. So that is this week's particular lesson on this one. Again, the short card is one of my favorite things with a deck of cards because all it takes is just a couple seconds of cutting up just the edge of one card, and the applications are essentially endless. You see that from this small little technique where both techniques could be applied to two wildly different things. So one is a peek and the other one is a force from the exact same technique, which is pretty much self-working. So this is a self-working technique that allows you to force a card on a spectator and peek at a card in a very, very fair and effective fashion. So imagine you dribble the cards, you peek at it, then you have the spectator shuffle the cards. You're going to be good to go. So that is the dribble peek, and that is the dribble force. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you guys for being members of the Pigcake Magic Card Academy, and I hope to see you on the next lesson.